Alright guys, we got a little wheel hop in here and we're going to be putting another motor in it. I guess after about 3 years of beating the crap out of it, it's finally had enough. But it still runs pretty good. It's been blowing a head gasket for about 6 months now, and then within the last month it's gotten so bad I can't even drive it. It's been hydrolocking every time I try to drive it and overheating pretty much every time I try to drive it. I've been lucky and been able to limp it back to the shop every time. But now it's finally getting water in the oil so bad, and it's starting to get a real light, low end knock when you cold start it. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a whole nother motor in it. I didn't see the point in wasting my time with having low end noises. So we're going to start doing that. Here's what it looks like right now. I think it was a 2002 5.3 I put in it. It came out of a Tahoe, and the Tahoe had 330,000 miles on it. I don't know if that's really the original miles for this motor or not. But I just threw it down in here. I did it as cheap as possible, and this is my first LS swap I ever done. So it's far from right. So I'm going to redo all the wiring and try to make it look better and make it right this time. I didn't paint it or nothing because I figured I'd blow it up real soon, and here we are 3 years later, still going. Here's the motor for that. I got it on a trade deal with a friend of mine, and he was told it was good. We don't really know for sure. So I did pull the oil pan off and the timing cover off to check everything out. I ran a compression test on it. It had between 200 and 230 psi on all cylinders, so that checked out good. I'll video that when I pull the oil pan off again. But it had Gen 4 rods in it, had a brand new oil pump in it, and everything looks really good in there, so I think it's going to be a good motor. I am going to paint it, probably the teal. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I'll figure that out. But I think it's going to be a good motor for it. But as soon as I get that out and get the cam in it, we're going to get it painted and put back in. And I'm going to start doing the wiring and all that. I'm probably going to reuse the 5-speed I have in it. It shifts really good still, but it pops out a 5th. I have another one, but I haven't decided whether I'm going to just leave this one in it till it blows apart or put another one in it. We'll see. I'll figure that out when we get it out. But like I said, I built this truck about 3 years ago. I'll give a little backstory on it. I got pictures and videos of what I've done with the truck since then. But I started out with a long bed truck, and I pulled the cab and front clip off of that, and I had a short bed frame. So I threw the cab and front end on that short bed frame. We had a bed, and I just built me a little short bed hot rod out of it. 5-speed, 373 posi rear end, just a 10 bolt. And I had a stock 5.3 in it for a while, then I ended up adding a cam and then headers and tune and all that. And then just been beating the crap out of it for the last 3 years. I've done a couple different rear ends. I had a 9-inch in it at one point. Actually, I did a 9-inch on top of the springs and I lowered it down. Then it started wheel hopping. That's how it got the name Little Wheel Hop. But like I said, I'll add pictures and videos. Never seen that before in the throttle body. Even on the shaft up in there. I haven't showed you guys this yet. It's all milky. Alright, it's ready to come out, so as soon as Aaron gets back here, we're going to get the forklift in here and get it yanked out. Just pulling the motor out, I'm going to leave the tranny in it. And if I decide to pull a tranny out, I'll drop it out the bottom. It has to come out separate either way. So here's all the wiring harness that I'm going to get rid of, and all that, what I can. I'm just going to run the bare minimum, and then I'll probably use this harness here and cut it down to make a swap harness. Get rid of everything that's not needed, and I have a nice little fuse box I'll probably put up in that corner. And I'll probably wash it all and throw some paint in here to make it look a little better too. But yeah, as soon as Aaron gets back, we're going to get this done. Alright, we got it out. I'm going to pressure wash it and start going through the wiring when I get time. It's right here. He'd even bent this motor mount, the aluminum part. Here's the flywheel. Pulled the clutch off. It looks way better than I was expecting. It was all brand new when I put it together. Dad smoked it bad one time, and I kind of smoked it a couple times. Nothing horrible, but I was expecting a lot more discoloration. Here's the clutch disc. Don't look bad either. But the pressure plate looks pretty good too. Way better than I was expecting, for sure. And the pilot shaft bushing, I guess I used the roller bearing bushing, and all the rollers are gone. Completely gone. And it even wore a groove in the input shaft down there. So when I go back together with it, I'll use a regular style bushing, the brass bushing, not a roller style. I got it on the engine stand. It's probably going to be a couple days, but we're going to start tearing it down and get the cam out, get it in the other motor, get it ready, get it painted, all that. And I'm going to go ahead and tear this one, the heads off of it and all that, so we can see how it looks after all this. Alright guys, it's been a few days. I'm going to go ahead and start tearing this motor down so we can get the cam out and get it in that one and start going back together with this thing. Well, I found the culprit. Number 4. You can see it right there. I felt all the rods. They all feel really tight. I don't feel any play in any of them. I went ahead and pulled the cap off this one just to look at the bearing, and it still looks brand new. So I think that knocking noise we heard was the lifters. It sounded like a low end to me. Like I would have bet money it sounded like a low end. But if it wasn't for this thing, it was smoking real bad before. I know it had kind of lowish compression on one of the cylinders last time I checked it, which was months ago. It was like 150 PSI, and I just checked one, so I don't really know what it is. But everything looks extremely good for a motor. Even if this motor is a brand new motor I put together, it looks great. I don't know its previous life. Like I said, I pulled it out of a Tahoe, 330,000 miles on it. It looks like a greasy old motor inside, even without all the watery oil. When I was in it last time, it just looked like a high mileage engine. So that's kind of unbelievable to me, how tight it is and how good it still looks after what I've done to it alone. Here's another one. Here's the other one. Like I said, that's just insane to me how good it looks after what I put it through and, like I said, its previous life. So here's the cam that I ended up going with before. It's a BTR stage 4, the NSR version, so I didn't have to change valve springs and all that stuff and push rods. I just bought the cam, slapped it in this old motor, and had it tuned, and then just beat on it ever since. I know there's better options out there for a cam, but this one sounded good, added pretty good amount of power, so I was happy with it, so I'm just going to reuse this cam in the other motor. Here's the motor mounts. It bent the driver's side one pretty good amount. They are ICT ones too, so they're a pretty good brand. But kind of surprised it bent it actually. In case you couldn't hardly tell on the video when I was pulling it apart, but look at all this moisture in here. The valve covers, each one of them. That's insane. The timing cover had it and the oil pan had it all in it. I showed you the heads already. But this poor motor was a strong one. I have just literally beat it to death over the last 3 years, and I don't know how it possibly held up this long, much less looks that good underneath in the bottom end. Even the cylinders and everything, I can't believe it looks that good. But anyway, we're gonna shut that offside, and I'm gonna get on this one tomorrow. I just gotta slap my cam in it, and then I got the pickup tube, all that stuff over there, so I gotta put all that back in it, clean it all up, put the oil pan back on it, timing cover back on it, and clean it up, paint it, and then drop it down in there. Well, I ran into a big problem. I went to go pull a cam out, and the cam bearing come out with it. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to put new cam bearings in it without pulling the crank out. Hopefully. I was able to break it and rip it the rest of the way out, so should be able to get the cam out now. Alright, so I got all the cam bearings knocked out. I got new ones ordered. They should be here hopefully this weekend, if not early next week. I may go ahead and paint the motor and get some other stuff ready, but I can't really go any further as far as putting the cam in and everything else until that gets here. I'll probably go ahead and pull the truck in and start on the wiring though. Alright, I've been pulling the wire loom all off the wiring. I'm going to get rid of everything I don't need, all the TBI stuff. I'm just going to cut it off right down there and over there as far as I can out of the way, and then get rid of it. I'm just going to keep like all my gauge wires and the wires for AC, because I do plan to put AC on this thing eventually. And like I said, just the stuff I have to have, like the wipers, things like that. But all this is going to go. I'm going to start doing that. I won't record it because it's just kind of boring. But all this, the TBI wiring. Yeah, if it don't work a gauge or AC or what I have to have, it's going. Alright, I got through most of the wiring. I got rid of all the extra stuff. Apparently there's 3 plugs on this one for the AC. I had to do some digging into that to figure that out. I'm used to just 1 plug. But I tied all the grounds together. There's like 3 of these, so I tied them all together into one, hit it up in here. This, I think, was for the headlights or the taillights, I can't remember. It was on that side right there. So I moved it over here. All the wires were just stretched across, so I shortened them and gonna stick it in behind that box. And then here's my tack wire and my speed sensor wire. I gotta run the tack on over here, and then I gotta run the speed sensor down here to the back of the transmission. Then I got all my gauge wires right here, my starter wire, key on wire, and there is, I think, a neutral safety switch or something. I do got to run that back over there and down still, but that's pretty much all of it. I'll just shorten all these up over here, and then when I put my fuse box in up here, the wires all out of that will hook to them. These LS's, they have in the factory harness, they have a purple wire that runs all through the harness, all the way down into the starter. Actually, like this and up. So I usually leave that in and then turn around and tie it into this one shorter. That way it's all loomed in the harness, just looks better. But yeah, that's pretty much all the wiring. I'm going to tape it up, wire loom it, and yeah, finish it up. Alright, I got all the wiring harness loomed up. Here's the air conditioning. I got my alternator and my oil pressure sensor right there. I'll shorten them up a little bit once I get the motor in. Got my temperature sensor right there. I got all that moved up there. And then here's the rest of my wires. I'll shorten them up whenever I get the fuse box in here. But I got my key on wire, my fuel pump wire, my starter wire, and here's a tack wire, and then here's a speed sensor wire. I am going to go ahead and wire the speed sensor into the computer, and then the output of the computer I'll wire into the inside of the truck. That way I can adjust my speedometer, because it's always read 10 mile an hour faster than I'm actually going. So when I do that, I'll be able to adjust it for whatever gear ratio and tire size I use. Now I'm just waiting for the cam bearings and the tool to come in. It should be here this weekend. Today is Wednesday, I think. So hopefully it'll be here this weekend, and we'll get this thing ready to drop in by next week. But that's all I'm lacking, and painting it, of course. But that's going to be all for this video. Hopefully we'll have this thing back going again and have a part 2 out pretty soon. But thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.